Hello, all you beautiful people. How you guys doing? So for today's video, GameSpot actually did an interview with Genshin Impact developers, and they talked about endgame content and welcoming newcomers. So we're just gonna go over it, talk about it, see what they talked about. Yeah, let's go. So, they said versions 3.0 and 3.1 are expected to be 1 week shorter than usual. In the future, will you be continuing these shortened version lengths, or should players expect updated releases to return to their former pace? Starting from version 3.0 to the end of version 3.2, the length of each update will be shortened to 5 weeks, but a shorter update cycle will not influence the quality of the gameplay and content. Please stay tuned. I like how they didn't answer the question at all. So for people who don't know why this happened, I believe it was because of COVID. I think where they developed Genshin Impact, they had like a very intense lockdown at some point. That's when like the Eternal Ayaka banner and things like that happened. So that's why that is how it is. Currently, the Spiral Abyss is the only true endgame content for players at high adventure ranks. Are there any plans to release new, permanent endgame content in the same vein as Spiral Abyss? This is probably the biggest question in this whole entire thing. Everybody's talking about this, so let's see what they say. Spiral Abyss is one of the most effective ways for players to test out their party composition and combat strength. That's true. If we design another type of permanent endgame that is similar to the Spiral Abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players. Okay. Not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. Just like the Genius Invocation TCG that we unveiled in the special program for 3.2, we are also working on designing more interesting gameplay in the future. As an open world game, Genshin Impact has a natural compatibility with various types of gameplay, which gives us confidence in the long-term operation. Okay. So, this part right here is probably really the big news, right? They say, if we design another type of permanent endgame that is not similar to the Spiral Abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players. Not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. Now, it's interesting, right? Because a lot of people have been saying we need more endgame content, we need more difficult content, to test out our strength and our composition, like they said earlier, right? Party composition, combat strength. But they're saying that it will create a lot of anxiety for their players. I think one thing. So first of all, I want to say, I don't. It's. I mean, just because not everyone is interested, does that mean that you can't make it? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of get that. Like, would it not be a good idea to give something for your players who are like very much more dedicated to the game? Because what's happening right here, right, is what's happening is like a clash between like casual and then like casual players and like I'll say hardcore players, right? There's a clash right here. For, let's say, the more hardcore people, they want more endgame content. That's what the question is about. But they're saying, for their casual audiences, it might create excessive anxiety for their players. Not everyone is interested in the Musk Reef. Just because that is true, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't create something for the people, who are more dedicated to the combat, are more dedicated to party compositions and things like that, and enjoy that a lot more. Because you could say the same thing in the reverse way, right? Not everyone is interested in the different gameplay changes, you know what I mean? Not everybody is interested in, like, puzzles. There's always going to be a group of people not interested in some aspect of Genshin, because Genshin has very, very differing and changing, like, components about it, like the story, like the puzzles, like the combat and things like that. So I don't think that's a good reasoning, because there's a lot of variety in the game. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here and say that the people that they are talking about, I would assume actually is a very large chunk of people, but we never hear about them, right? As people who engage in like online stuff, like obviously if you're watching this YouTube video, you definitely engage in like online things and like talking about things, and like, gaming is probably like a really big hobby of yours or a passion or something. We're not a casual audience. You kind of get what I'm saying? So we won't ever talk to or won't ever know about these people that they're talking about here. People who just log on Genshin for a couple of minutes, play a little bit, play the new event for a little bit, and then log off. They don't care about how good they are. They don't care about grinding artifacts. They don't care about anything. They just enjoy the game and want to play the game how they want to play, and that's completely fine. Like obviously that is 100% fine. But I'm curious about this word anxiety here, excessive anxiety, because I guess maybe for those players, right? Maybe for those players, they want to get every single primo that they can, right? They'll finish all the events completely to clear out all the primo. They'll do all the story quests because they want to pull the characters. But then they see Spiral Abyss, right? They see Spiral Abyss and they see something that they can't do in one shot. Most of the times when we have events, you can get all the primos in like one shot, very easy. Getting all the primos is usually very, very, very easy. And the actual events, right? It's usually the easiest task, the lowest difficulty. But Spiral Abyss is the only area where that isn't the case, and I think that's kind of what's going on here, is that they see that primo in Spiral Abyss, and they're just like, I can't get this primo, I don't like this, or it creates anxiety for me, or it's just like, I don't have the skill enough for this, I don't have the time to grind for this, I don't have the characters I need to do Spiral Abyss. Even though, with enough strategy and planning, you can clear through most of it with like almost any characters, any groups of characters. That takes time. That takes effort and things like that. But these are more of a casual audience that just wants to play and do whatever they want and be rewarded, get primo for that. Which is, again, like I said, that's fine. That's 100% fine, and the game does encourage that with most of its events. Like I said, a lot of the easier events give you most of the primo. So I can completely understand that. But, so that's one point, right? The one point is that a very large group of people are very casual, right? Maybe they don't even play any other game. They're very casual. They just want to do whatever they want to do and get primo, but they're getting anxiety from Spiral Abyss because they see that primo and they see, I can't get this, I can't obtain this, I don't like this, pretty much. And that could be a good big chunk of people that have answered like surveys, for example, right? They could have answered those surveys and said that. And that's why they don't feel encouraged to make new Spiral or new types of endgame Spiral Abyss type content, is because they see these huge chunk of people in their surveys being like, we don't want more of this. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I will say, I feel like me personally, I feel like the solution is create a type of content that doesn't reward primo or doesn't even reward anything. I think create a type of content that's either similar to Spiral Abyss or something in that same vein where it's a difficult combat challenge, right? But don't put primo in there. I think if you don't put primo in there, or even don't put any rewards in there, you don't create the anxiety, right? What anxiety is there? Like, who cares if, why would the casual audience care if there's a mode in the game that they can't do very successfully if there's no primo in there? They only care about getting primo and about pulling from more characters and, just doing things they quickly get it. Like, if anything, just have a primo for discovering whatever this gameplay mode is. But yeah, just create a new endgame hard difficult mode that just doesn't have primo. I feel like that solves it very, very nicely. And actually, I say that, but that's kind of what Genius Invocation TCG is doing, because they announced, right? They announced for the TCG that it will not really have any rewards, or that the PvP won't have any rewards, right? So you're just playing it to have fun, right? You're just playing it to have fun. There's no actual rewards in there. So it takes the pressure off, A, and then B, it satiates the desire for these hardcore players to play their hardest and try their best, because maybe they just enjoy it. Maybe they just want to be competitive. Maybe they just want to play it, right? And I think that, right, that concept, but just apply that to just a Spiral Abyss type area, and I think that's fine. I think that's a perfect solution so that people will have a place to use all their power and the casuals don't feel like they're being left out. I don't know why they just don't do that. I don't know why they just don't do that. Do we need another interview to ask that question? I don't know. But personally, I think that's a good solution. I know I kind of just focused everything on this question, but honestly, this question is super, super important, because that's like a big mentality that people on the internet, or at least the things that I'm hearing about Genshin, people who like go in and out of Genshin, they talk about or people just want to go hardcore in the game. They're just like, why am I grinding so much? Why am I spending so much if I don't have anything to use that on, right? Like, people have all this power, they have all these characters, and they're just like, what do I use it on? What do I use it on? I only do Spiral Abyss once every 2 weeks. where do I use this power on during those times that I'm waiting for Spiral Abyss to come back? And I think like a mode that you can just do it, and maybe it's like an infinite mode. You know, a lot of gacha games have an infinite mode where you do stages and stages and stages, and they get harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, and time goes on. That could be the way. That could be the way. I think that's absolutely, well, I think that's almost a perfect way, because like as they're literally getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, people could be competitive with it and be like, yo, I got to this floor, or I got to this floor, I got to this floor, I got to this floor. You know, with my setup, this is my setup to get to this floor, and people can make their own games about it. People can post about it on like live streams or whatever, like Twitter, Reddit, whatever thing. It's like, I got to this floor, this is what I did to get to this floor, this is what strategy I used to get to here, and bada bing, bada boom. And then in that, but they're not getting any rewards for doing that. It's all just personal gratification. It's all just like personal goals and things that they want to do. And it can still have fun, and it can still be enjoyable, and the casuals don't feel left out. I think it's the best solution. That's just what I think should happen. That just helps everybody. It just helps everybody. I think I've said this like 5 times now. But yeah, if Genshin wants to move forward with endgame content, I feel like this is the perfect way to have your cake and eat it too. Create more Spiral Abyss type content, but just don't put any primo rewards in there. No primo rewards, or maybe not even any rewards. Just have it there for fun, and have it there for people to test themselves because they want to enjoy the combat experience, enjoy the gameplay, because it really is a fun gameplay experience, and party composition is really fun to think about. Yeah. That is pretty much it. I know I only went through like 2 of these, but just this question is just so important, so that's why I went through it. Maybe we'll make another video talking about the rest of them, but this one has kind of gone on for long enough. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, tell me. Maybe we can go over these other questions. I will have a video for maybe each of the questions, or if any of them are like just easier to talk over, we'll just do a bunch. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and peace out.